My name's Dan, and this is my tiny narrowboat Tilly. When I first bought Tilly over 3 years ago, I certainly faced more than a few questions as to why on earth somebody at age 25 would seemingly try to turn their back on society and live out a simple basic life on a even simpler, more basic boat. Which is, to be fair, a very good question, and a question I'm not sure that I'll ever really have an answer for. But the thing that I always try and explain to people is that my life on a boat was never meant to be about the boat itself. The boat is merely a vehicle to wake up and open the curtains to places like this. It's always been about what's through the window rather than what's on the inside of the door. Many years before I even had the slightest thought of owning a boat, my interests in life and what I tried to spend as much time as I possibly could doing were all turned into things that having a boat would be the perfect base of operations to launch them from. Things such as walking, cycling, astronomy, and even reading and writing were ideal things to be able to set out from different locations already in these amazing rural locations, or sit on a boat in perfect peace and calm scenarios, writing away at my desk or reading another book about ancient Rome. Cycling has become a bigger part of my life than I ever could have imagined, as I now put in thousands of miles pedalling, as I commute to work, as I travel from Tilly to small towns and villages to buy supplies, such as the little trip that you're about to see now, and even just travelling to see friends and family can sometimes be 15 to 25 miles without even thinking about it. This is definitely not the easiest life that I could have lived, but there's definitely a difference between living an easy life and living a life that you enjoy. The secluded and rural nature of a lot of the places that I like to spend time with Tilly mean almost by definition that any trip to the shops can become its own miniature event for the day. And it's certainly something that I've noticed if I decide to walk to the shops to get supplies, that I can end up sometimes doing a 10-mile trip that takes me over 3 hours by boot. But ultimately, it's all part of the experience, and it's all the sort of thing that I used to set out and do for the sake of it, for the sake of enjoying being out there riding, whereas now I get to put an actual useful reason and purpose, such as being able to sit down and tuck into my tea at night. One of the things that has the biggest impact on my life, but is also the most unpredictable, is definitely the weather. As finding yourself having to commute goodness knows how many miles to go to work in extreme wind and rain and muddy conditions, or through potentially dangerous icy roads in heavy snowfall, is definitely different to the experience of waking up on a beautiful sunny morning in the middle of summer, having that slight chill in the air and being able to cycle out at a leisurely pace down beautiful country lanes through nothing but perfect countryside. And it's certainly no fun to arrive back at the boat late at night, sometimes in the small hours of the morning, soaking wet and covered in mud. But ultimately, these are all the things that make life interesting. But they certainly do test out my theory of an easy life not necessarily being a life that I would enjoy, as there's definitely times that I could easily see myself being far better off pulling up into a marina, having all the facilities that I could want right on the doorstep, and of course being able to have a little car or moped to easily and effortlessly get in and out to work or visit my friends. Well, I am still just about fit enough to put these miles in on my bike, I'm certainly intending to keep it up and see what happens as time goes on. One of the strangest things that I could have never predicted happening was that I would almost sabotage my own attempt at a simple, quiet and obscure life, as my love of YouTube led me to continue producing little videos when I first bought Tilly, which for some reason my channel then went from nobody really tuning in at all to a point where I now measure my views to the nearest 500,000, which is scary, it's humbling, and certainly keeps me busy. It's something that I could have never imagined happening, and it's led me to meet an awful lot of fantastic people out on the canal who already know who I am, which is quite a scary thought really. Being asked to pose for selfies and sometimes even appearing in pictures of myself and Tilly that I didn't even know were being taken is definitely not quite the obscure and anonymous life that I was intending to lead, but as long as I can still get out and enjoy this sort of scenery, then it's all good. You may notice that this is the first time we've actually seen some boating happen in this video, and that's because I wanted to focus on the life that I was trying to build around the boat, rather than saying, look at this, it's great to go boating through these beautiful canals and scenes out here in rural Shropshire in Wales. Ultimately, it's a fantastic part of boat life, but it's not everything, and as boat life can mean so many different things to so many different people, as I say, one day perhaps I too will be living in a marina and not really travelling anywhere. One of the things that I love about being able to take these little boat trips almost as and when you want, apart from the boating experience itself, is the fact that you can move down the canal, moor up in a different place with a different bike ride into work, a different commute to get supplies from a different village or a different town, and even simpler than that, opening the curtains in the morning to a completely different set of scenery. I'm more than aware that the life that I'm living may not be the greatest or most glamorous, and it's certainly not the most comfortable, but even if what I'm doing isn't great or important whatsoever, I like to think that at the very least I'm hurting nobody and almost influencing nobody ideally, apart from maybe my family who give me earache from time to time if I've been distracted off down the canal without showing me face to them for too long. Ultimately though, I've tried to squeeze the absolute most out of these last moments of my youth and enjoy them to the full, and if nothing else I'll have a lot of fantastic memories to look back on. So I suppose, depending on what the future brings, and if I do have to ever give it all up, those memories will be the lasting gift of this time I've spent with Tilly.